Well, 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 look what we're going to do over here. We're going to have a free show in front of the freak show. We're going to bring out the weird people, the strange people, the odd and the unusual. Inside, you're going to see them all. Everything you see on the pictures behind me, from all the way over there to all the way down there. Inside, you'll see them live on stage. Once you get inside, you'll go from stage to stage, from cage to cage, and see all of the curiosities that you see listed in front of you.
Welcome to 5-Star Talks. I'm your host, Carl Thornton. This podcast is dedicated to enhancing the already great little village of Colon, Michigan. I hope you enjoy. All right, Jay, I know you like Blackstone soda, so...
Did you bring me a present?
Just did. Which one's your favorite?
I like the cherry. Where's it at?
Yeah, there you go. Well,
the Blackstone cherry.
There you go. Well,
but the names are clever. How long did it take you guys to come up with all these names?
Hey, who's doing the interview?
Vanishing Vanilla.
So we worked on it honestly for about a year, just back and forth. And I think Jess actually came up with Grape Blackstone.
Grape Blackstone is probably the most clever one.
So I'm sitting here with my good friend Jay Blackwell. And thank you for doing this. I really do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome to the theater.
Just kind of let you introduce yourself a little bit, and I'll just kind of be quiet for a minute here and interject with probing, interesting. No, go ahead.
Well, my name is Jay Blackwell. I'm a variety entertainer from Houston, Texas. I now live in Colon, Michigan, the magic capital of the world. I'm sure all of you guys know that already. I started in music in my early years, teenage years, early 20s, and when I was about 24 or 25, I decided I didn't want to play music anymore. I wanted to do sideshow stuff and pound nails in my face and eat fire and juggle. So I decided I wanted to do all that stuff, and I had never done any of it. So in about a year, I put together a show. I actually learned how to juggle knives. I learned how to eat fire. I learned how to pound a nail in my face, and I put together a horrible show. It was horrible. I've seen videos. It's bad stuff. If you're learning stuff, wait. Just wait before you do a show. Get better. My first fair gig was the World of Wonders sideshow with Ward Hall and Chris Christ. Loomis Brothers Circus is the one that I worked for first. And we did all the own marketing, all his own production. Loomis Brothers was a great show. And then I worked for another show called James Christie Cole, and that was mostly Shrine Circus dates. At that time, I was doing the Wild West Act. The knife throwing, whip cracking, and rope spinning, which was never anything I planned on doing as far as the Wild West cowboy yeehaw thing. But when they offered to hire us for the circus, they said we want a Wild West act. So me and my spouse at the time, who also threw knives and cracked whips, we put together a Wild West act. So, which was pretty much making the costumes and all that.
So you and I have talked about this because I've had you throw knives at me a couple times.
Around.
That's a better choice of words. But the whip would make me the knives I was good with. That whip might make me a little nervous. That's a little.
I've never hurt myself with the knives. I have cut myself with a whip. So
yeah, those babies are.
I've actually cut through my jeans into my leg with a whip. Whenever I train assistants, I always tell them that the whips are definitely more dangerous than the knives.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm brave enough to do that, but
Stickley's held a flower in his mouth. So when I worked on
that would
Stickley,
be great. I need a picture.
I would do the bullwhip act on his show. I'd do knife throwing and bullwhips for the Palace of Illusion show, and every once in a while, I would introduce my beautiful assistant, and out would come Stickley. And I would have to.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
That was how we would keep things interesting on those shows, because when you're traveling all the time and you're doing shows day after day, all day long, you get tired of it. So we would always be pretty much pulling stuff like that on each other backstage, or like the Spider Girl illusion. One of our favorite things to do was whoever's introducing the Spider Girl illusion, instead of the girl getting in, a guy would get in. I would do it a lot of times, and so they would introduce this beautiful girl with a spider body and a beautiful face, and then open it, and it would be me. And then you got to talk your way out of it. You got to figure out what you're going to say then, because you're stuck.
Well, the Stickley show, is that the 10-in-1 The 10 in 1 show?
Yeah,
okay.
the 10 in 1 circus.
Did you do the Girl to Gorilla as well?
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, that's a fun show.
Absolute favorite one, yeah. The 10 to 1 is a big, huge operation.
Yeah, a 10 in 1 is 10 acts in one big show. That's the...
I mean, what's that banner line? 50 feet, 60 feet? I mean, it's... You're swinging a sledge and...
Yeah, the banners are 10 feet each, so it depends on how many you have. You can have up to a 100-foot banner line.
How long does it take you to put that up? Like if you move into you go to the Hillsdale Fair or the Centerville Fair.
That whole show is about an 8 to 10 hour setup.
5-Star Talks is sponsored by 5-Star Pizza in Lower, Southwest Michigan, and LaGrange, Indiana, and also by Graminetti Cheesecakes. Stop in and get yours today. I know you have 2,000 books. Three. I mean, you have.
I quit counting.
So you buy and sell, collect both?
Yeah, I collect more books than I buy and sell, but I have an eBay store with 600 or 700 items on it.
What's the name of it?
Odd Duck Books and Curios.
Odd Duck?
Yeah. My logo is a little 3-legged duck. I don't know if you saw it. You were in my house the other day. The 3-legged duck that's up on my mantle. It's a stuffed 3-legged duck. It's a taxidermied one. Someone made a cartoon of that for me. That's the logo.
So it's Odd Duck
Books and Curios.
Okay. .com.
It's eBay.
Oh, it's eBay.
Yeah.
Oh, you do the eBay.
Yeah.
So how did you get here then?
The year and a half, 2 years before I moved here, I kept driving what I called the Triangle of Death, which was from Florida to Houston to Michigan. From Florida to Houston to Michigan. I did it about 4 times, and every time I was going to Houston, I was just going to go get whatever. I didn't have work there. That's just where my home base was. So eventually, I decided I was going to move here, and that's what I did. I remember the first time I came here, seeing the stars on the sidewalk, and then going into 5-Star and all the magic stuff. I remember I told him that day, I was like, I'm going to move here. So my performance skill set, professionally, before I came here, was not magic. It was sideshow, which was human blockhead, fire breathing, fire eating, mostly talking, other sideshow acts, and juggling, sword balancing, knife throwing, whip cracking, circus skills. I've always collected magic and been a magic fan, but until I moved here, I didn't really perform magic. I did like illusions in my big shows, because I would in my fair shows I would take my knife throwing acts and then one illusion, like a cut and six or a zigzag. So I did do that stuff. I would perform those, but I never performed close-up magic or any kind of silk magic or anything like that. I didn't start doing that until I actually moved to Colon, and I took lessons with John
Sterlini.
Pretty much as soon as I got here.
The manipulation.
Yeah, really. I mean, because I love magic, I always have, but it's always been the weirdest thing for me. Pounding a nail in my face or juggling knives is easy, but doing a stupid card trick, I start shaking. And it's always been that way, and I don't know why.
Get nervous on.
Yeah.
So that's what we should say, so for people that don't understand, the human blockhead, do you want to explain that?
So the human blockhead is the brainless, painless wonder. He takes a 6-inch solid steel spike and he pounds it straight into the center of his skull. And so I do that, and I take it a couple steps further. I got to perform it next week. So
where at?
Pigeon Forge, the Winter Carnival of Magic.
Oh, that's right. You guys.
So I don't know if this probably won't air before then, but
Probably
Winter Carnival of Magic this year, John Sterlini was hired for the manipulation act in the show, and I was hired as the variety act. So I'm going to do my juggling, sword balancing act, and fire eating, and the human blockhead.
I guess, where do you go from here? I know you perform here at the Sterlini Magic Theater.
So I'm here when I'm in town. I perform every Saturday here. Throughout spring, summer, and fall in the Sterlini Theater, there'll be shows every Saturday at 2 o'clock. I'll be doing the majority of the shows, but we do have other performers coming in to do shows. So there'll always be shows here, but I have a lot of traveling work this year with mostly fair shows.
Okay.
A few different fair shows, different small gigs, and I'm just picking stuff up. I just got back from Memphis doing a Shrine Circus date.
And that was which act was that?
That was the Wild West act. The first time I performed the Wild West act, with the cowboy clothes. I've done the whip cracking and the knife throwing, but first time I've put on the Wild West suit and got in the circus ring in about 3 years. So that was it was fun, but a little bit nerve-wracking too.
A little rusty.
No, I wasn't. Actually, once I got in there, I was fine. I did have to train a new assistant for it, so that was. She did really good though.
I hired you for the 5-Star Pizza Christmas party.
Oh yeah, my big corporate gig last year.
Big corporate gig.
You need to share the video of you getting knives thrown at you.
Around me.
I always have to correct people. Even when I train new assistants, they're like, "Hey, this is Jay. He throws knives at me." I'm like, "Around. It's really important if you say around."
That was a little close, see? Not bad. Thanks.
Oh, that was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a blast. And there's a couple theaters in town that definitely you could do that with. So if people want to get a hold of you, I mean, you could do. We're setting the Sterlini Theater. We'll have to pop some pictures in. I like what I just added carpet here.
Yeah, carpet, new purple, comfortable seats. These seats are so
These seats are the best.
Every once in a while when I'm working, I just wander in the theater when it's dark and just sit down and chill for a little bit until I hear John wandering around. Like, where the heck?
So you guys definitely do birthday parties here, corporate gigs in here.
Oh yeah, we do everything. We had some field trips last year, so hopefully we're going to get some more field trips this year. One of the shows that we do for the field trip and that I'm going to try to promote this year too is kind of like a Colon historical show. So at the beginning of the show, there's about a 10-minute lecture, the history of the entertainment in Colon going before Blackstone, talking about the Opera House, the beginning of all that, the railroad coming here, and then up until Blackstone and a little bit after, and then a show featuring some classic effects, linking rings, some rope effects, and that's what we did for the school field trip stuff, and that's what I'm going to try to be doing some of those this year too.
Yeah, you could market that.
Not just history. It's pretty much a historical show, a short historical show of Colon. I would also like to do a star walk. I think that would be really cool. A little,
tour.
Maybe 3 or 4 effects, magic tricks, but just a tour of downtown and going to every star and doing a quick spill and history on the person. I think that would be a really cool thing to have in town. Let's get a little bit more into that. For those of you who don't know, like on Hollywood, there's the stars on the boulevard. So down the streets of Colon, there are the bronze, or are they bronze?
I think they're bronze.
They're bronze, about 16 by 16 plaques that have stars and different magicians inset into the concrete. So those are the stars that we're referring to.
The most famous one out there is going to be Blackstone. But
Monk Watson's out there. He's pretty big historically here. He was a really good friend of Blackstone's and had a lot to do with entertainment in Colon as well.
Yeah, and then there's some beloved people that have been came here their whole lives. They might just be I don't want to denigrate it. Not just, but they weren't famous, but they were kind of famous to Colon.
Famous to Colon or important to Colon.
Right.
But yeah, the Sterlini's Magical Mayhem group is an online group for magicians. We sell a lot of the magic tricks. We try to give the guys in brick and mortar experience, because most people can't go to a magic shop.
Right.
It's there's never any around, so we try to give them that experience every day. And every morning I do a show called the Deal of the Day, where I have about 5 to 13 items on there typically, and deals on most of them. Some of them are full price, but they're all cool stuff. And everybody gets their chance to get that. So we have what's called the big box of fun. Everybody puts it in there. Everything you buy goes in your box, and then we ship it all at one time. So it saves everybody on shipping. But that's what I've done. It's been almost a year now. We've done them every day. I think this past week was one of the first times that I actually wasn't able to make it.
Yeah.
And luckily, Carl was able to fill in for me. He's the new star.
Yeah.
But if you're a magician
no
and
idea what I'm doing,
you are not on the Sterlini's Magical Mayhem group, send a request to join.
Yeah.
And you can see some of those shows. We do 7 to 9 shows a week, depending on what all we have going.
Yeah, and if they join, then there's a Monday night and a Thursday night too.
Yeah, always that. And then I do a book deal on Wednesdays typically, where it's just books because I like books. And sometimes we do a Treasures with Tam.
We got a lot of content out there in the last year and a half or whatever.
Renaissance festivals was where I really started first. when I first started, I learned how to do everything, and the Texas Renaissance Festival was an hour from my house, and that's the biggest Renaissance festival in the country. So when I started, I went and auditioned there to do my stage show, and they said, no, we don't think you're ready for that, but you should join our cast. And I didn't want to be an actor per se, so I told them no, but they convinced me by telling me I would be in the Transylvanian court, which was a lot like the Addams Family. So I said, okay, I'll do that because I love the Addams Family. But along with doing that gig came with 2 months of acting and improv classes before the gig.
Basically free.
Yes, every weekend for 2 months. I went and spent the entire weekend there doing acting and improv classes. And then I did that for several years. But working there, you had to entertain the kids, you had to entertain the adults, and that's really where I honed the show of being able to entertain the little kid in front and also the 40-year-old in the back who barely got who got the joke, but none of the kids got the joke type of thing. I try not to go. I know Renaissance Festival can be pretty blue. I keep it a lot cleaner than that, but that's how I actually started, and that's with those improv classes and working the stages at the Renaissance festivals, which I did that for about 4 years.
Oh, so you did music basically as a young man, right out of high school?
Yeah, in school and out of high school until I was, I did it. I was in my mid-20s. I was actually I toured with small bands and played a lot of big shows and stuff.
What do you play?
I played bass and guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sing background?
Yeah, and I would sing. I was in metal bands at the time, so I'd play like the big metal festivals and open for the big bands, and
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty fun, but it never paid anything. It was mostly us paying to get down the road most of the time. So yeah, I went from that, and my first gigs were Renaissance festivals, and we did that. We would travel all over. I did that from Texas to California and back.
Wow.
Yeah, I did a lot of Colorado stuff. And then after that, I went to the pirate ship. So I was a pirate for 3 years after that. In South Padre Island, there's something called the Black Dragon pirate ship. And it's a modern ship that looks like an old pirate ship. It has 3 levels. It holds 100 people. And it has a full bar on board and a full cast of pirates. So when you come, it's a like Disney-style entertainment. But before you get on the ship and enjoy the show where the kids are like getting their faces painted and hunting treasure and swabbing the deck and sword fighting and all that, you would sit down and watch a show while everybody gathered and got ready. And I would do a 30-minute show where I would do fire eating and knife throwing and juggling as a pirate. So I did that for 2.5 or 3 years.
So that was your main, you went there?
Every day. Every day.
Every day?
Every day. I worked there 7 days a week. I was on salary there. So until I became a manager, and then I quickly learned I didn't want to be a manager there anymore. And then I went to the circus. So I went from being the pirate for 3 years, which was very peculiar, doing it 7 days a week. I wore pirate clothes more than I wore regular clothes. So every morning, and I still have boxes of pirate clothes, every morning I dressed like a pirate. And I was always a pirate, even at the grocery store. So like kids would want to take pictures and things like that. And I was a pirate, so I was kind of mean. I would scowl at kids all the time, and I would just, and the parents loved it because it was all in jest. But in the stores, like, kids would look at me, I'd like scowl at them. Well, the 1 day in 2 weeks I wouldn't be in pirate costume, I'd be at the store and like find myself scowling at people and oh my God, people think I'm so weird, and realize I'm not in my costume. Parents looking at me like, what's this weirdo doing?
Wow.
But that was a pretty fun
But
thing.
7 days a week, man, now you're really learning your skill.
Yeah, there I would do it 7 days a week, 3 shows a day. And
Wow.
that would be for about 4 months straight. And then it would slow down. And I would help with sales. Everywhere I've worked, I've also helped with sales and marketing and the circus and doing that. But from being a pirate, I went to being the cowboy. And then we did the Wild West for about 3 years.
Wow. Yeah, you've had a diversified career.
Yeah, I played a lot of characters. When I was in the Renaissance Festival, before I became the pirate, I guess I should say, I was Transylvanian. So I was Lucian Dracul, personal execution at the Prince Bogdan. And then I did the show with my brother Sergei, and he was the gravedigger. So I would always start the show with this really bad Russian accent, and then by the end of the show I'd sound like this. So That was like part of the comedy of it. We'd always say at the beginning that you'll see fire, you'll see blood, and you'll have bad Russian accents, you know.
Yeah. Well, I hope you keep Colin as your base and help us keep building this great.
Yeah, I'm staying here.
You've
I'm not going anywhere.
You've been a great addition. Stickley's been a great addition. As much as I rib him, he's been a great addition. You've been a great addition. I see a lot of promising things coming up for Colin. I really do.
Yeah, I want to get some other things going here. Like having the shows here every weekend is really nice, but like the Star Walk and a couple other things. You know, one thing I'd really like to get going here is our museum.
It's a great museum.
I think people would. I think for our town, I mean, the history of the magic, I mean, people would want to go to the museum. You can find me on any social media or Jay Blackwell Magic. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all the social medias, you can find me there. Also, jblackwellmagic@gmail.com. You can also find me through any of the Sterlini Magic platforms. If you need entertainment for an event, you can contact us through there, because I might not be the entertainment you need, but we can help you find some entertainment as well. I don't know if you or your listeners know, but Tamara, you've had Tamara on the show already, right? Mm-hmm. She does parties as well, and she does different things as princesses and sing-along parties, and we can do those in the theater as well.
Well, Jay, I want to thank you. This is I've known you for all these years, and I see you almost every day, and I learned a whole bunch of stuff I didn't know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I wish I had.
Thank you for interviewing me.
Wish I had half your talent.
Or I say thank you for interviewing me, but thank you for letting me just speak freely.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Take care.
All right. You guys have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks.